We want to welcome you this morning to the Drainage District Board of Directors meeting for today, July the 19th, 2016. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in prayer.
Thank you, Judge. Let us pray. Father God, we give you thanks for another beautiful day that you've given us, Lord. Thank you for the opportunity to come serve you today, Lord. I just continue to ask for wisdom, discernment, guidance to this judge and for commissioners that you have appointed, Lord, to lead this great county of ours, Lord. Continue to provide the same wisdom and discernment to myself, all the other leaders of this county, Lord, all the department heads, all the workers, Lord, that we would continue to work as we're working for you, Lord. I ask that you give us an opportunity to show just the grace that you give us, Lord, in all that decision making. I ask all this in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Under open forum, we have one presenter, Mr. Joe Rodriguez. Is Joe Rodriguez here?
Judge, gentlemen, my concern is where we live, we have a holding pond / drainage district pond. It's fallen to the side. We have had it cleaned here lately, but the problem is there's a trap door that leads into it that is somewhat welded shut or whatever. It's a compuerta, I don't know what you want to call it, but it hasn't been open in a long time. So the water is being backed up, and when it backs up, the neighborhood floods, and that traffic goes by. It tears up the road, so it leads to more cost. So if we can get that actually addressed.
What is the location of this area?
It's between East Richardson and East 107, east of 907, between Evergreen Estates, Phase 2, and Woodland Heights Estates.
It's in Precinct 4, Judge. Yeah, we're on it. I'll get with Raul Seguero. Raul Sisson.
So that can be addressed so it doesn't actually back up, and when we have floods, we've been getting flood here lately. When traffic goes on the road, it tears it up, so it's more of a cost and it's more of a burden on the county and the taxpayers to come up with that money, because we're not going to get those roads paved anytime soon. I've been there for 26 years, and it hasn't been repaved. So, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our consent agenda, any concerns?
No, sir. We don't have any concerns today, Mayor.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 5, discussion of Dow County Drainage System 1 drainage project maintenance and operation. At this time, really, I don't have anything to present, Judge and Commissioners. We're still everything ongoing. So, if I may, item 6, discussion action tax resale bids on the properties described. See attached list. We have our tax people here to make that presentation, Judge.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Just for the record, Michael Connor with the Linebarger Firm.
Morning,
one of the
sir.
tools that we do have available to us to collect your delinquent taxes, Judge, is obviously the foreclosure process. I just want to let the Commissioners Court know that we use that process very cautiously and very ethically. We only use the foreclosure process when we see that we've exhausted all other means to try to collect the delinquent taxes owed to the county and the
Mike,
drainage
can you
district.
pick that mic up a little bit?
There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right, I'll try to lean into it. Thank you, Judge. What we have is really, these are properties that we foreclosed on, and I just really want to let the Commissioners Court know that we're not displacing any families from their homesteads, and this is a very important distinction. We've actually foreclosed on 78 properties this last month, and if you look at your packets that you have before you, you'll see that most of these properties are actually eyesore properties within your community. They're either abandoned lots that are not being maintained, or they're abandoned homes. A few of these properties do have some tenants living on the properties, but they're not designated homesteads at this point in time. Most of the taxpayers in the county that do owe delinquent taxes do come in our office. They do make arrangements to pay. When we only use the foreclosure process, again, when we feel that we've exhausted all their means and we know that they're not going to make any effort to pay their taxes. So in our opinion, Judge, these properties are very beneficial foreclosures. What we've done is we put them up for sale the first time. They failed to sell that first time, so we put them on a resale schedule. And this is the second time we sell these properties. We take the highest bid at a public auction. And what this allows us to do is to put these properties back on the active tax roll, because presently they're not being taxed once they're struck off. So we believe that this is really the best method to clean up these properties, to take the liability and responsibility off not only the county and the drainage district, but all the other local taxing entities, and put these properties back in the hands of private individuals who are going to maintain the property and also pay the taxes on a current basis. So it is always our general recommendation that we approve these bids. Again, these are all these auctions that we hold are all held here at the county courthouse every month, and it's done publicly with about 150 to 200 investors that show up and bid on these properties. And I believe you have the detail on each individual property. There should be a map of where the property is located, along with a photo of what the property looks like. I know there's quite a few, and there's 78 of them. But if you have any questions on any particular tract of land, I'd be happy to answer them at this time, Judge.
Are there any questions?
I didn't mention the amount, Judge. I'll just let the court know that once approved, this will bring in a little over $14,000 in tax revenue to the drainage district.
Again, what is the total?
The total amount of money to the drainage district would be $14,027.82.
Gentlemen, do any of you have any questions? If not, are there any motions?
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, Your Honor, is just really the resolution approving the tax resale.
Move for
That's really
approval.
just a house
Second.
elevation measure.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
If I may, item 7, authority to advertise and request for proposal for property and casualty insurance to include third-party administration services, RFP number ACDD 116035. We're just putting this out for the first time in 10 years to try to get some proposals for insurance needs. We've been with TML, but we're going to look at options and see how they come back.
All right.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank
No,
you.
Wasn't it part of the, at one time we were with the county together. You can't do that anymore, wasn't it?
We're with TML right now, and on our insurance, and we've been looking at this, the possibility of putting it out and see if we get some type of competitiveness or something back from the local market and see what we get received.
Right,
So.
because they fall under the water code, it's a water district.
Yeah, but
drainage
at
district.
one time,
TML
workers' comp, everything.
Right, TML is the governing
Correct.
body with the drainage district. With us, in the past, it was TAC, thank you, the Association of Counties. We broke from the Association of Counties years ago. Commissioner, as you well, you spearheaded that project with our workers' comp. And then soon thereafter, after the workers' comp, we went self-funded. We also did our insurances in general. No, TML is the governing
Right.
body with respect to those type of insurances.
Correct. Okay, item 8, request an exemption for competitive bidding requirements on Texas Local Government Code Section 262024A4 for professional service.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 8B, presentation of scoring grid for the purpose of ranking ACD1 Board of Directors of the firm graded and evaluated through the district's approval pool of engineering firms for the provision of construction material testing for Tex-Mex drain ditch improvements. Millennium Engineering Group, a score of 99. Terracon Consultants, Inc., score 98. And International Consulting Engineers, a score of 90. Would the board like to rank them as stated?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item C, requesting authority for the Drainage District to negotiate a professional engineering agreement for engineering services with the #1 ranked firm of Millennium Engineers Group, as it relates to construction material testing for Tex-Mex Drain Ditch Improvement Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 9, thank you. Requesting approval of closing documents that relate to Precinct 2 fee simple right-of-way project parcel 1. Would you like to hold these individually or collectively? Can I read them for the record, or this all for parcel and projects? Collectively, that's okay? Great. 9B, requesting approval of closing documents that relate to Precinct 2 fee simple right-of-way project parcel 2. Requesting approval of closing documents that relate to Precinct 2 fee simple right-of-way project parcel 21. And requesting approval of closing documents that relate to Precinct 2 fee simple right-of-way project parcel 15. For the record, that's 9A, B, C, and D.
Move for
Everything's in
approval
order
of
for that.
9A, B, C, and D.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 10, request approval to issue manual payment on the following items. Application for payment number 7 in the amount of $40,603 from Texas Cordia LLC pertaining to construction contract number ACDD 1-14-008-0708-Precinct 2 Alamo Expressway Drain. Project engineer Dos Logistics, Inc., PO number 625452.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Next item would be item B, application for payment 10B, number 4, in the amount of $675 from Texas Cordia Construction LLC pertaining to construction contract number ACDD 1-15-009-07-22A, Precinct 4, Horn Road and Area Drainage Improvement Project, PO 627645. Everything's in order for that.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And 10C, application for payment number 5 in the amount of $319,006.09 from Texas Cordia Construction LLC pertaining to construction contract number ACDD 1-15-009-07-22A, Precinct 4, Home and Area Drainage Improvements Project and Industrial Logistics, PO number 627645. Everything's in order for that as well.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, no closed items today.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, at this time, we're going to be convening our regular Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting for today, July the 19th, 2016. The entire court being present, we have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we come together today for the good of all the citizens of Hidalgo County. Give us your wisdom to make decisions that will affect everyone today and in the years to come. Help us to work well together, recognizing that each of us are here because we want what's best for Hidalgo County. We ask for your blessing and your guidance, and we also ask that you keep our colleague Esther Cortez in your hands and shine your healing light upon her and upon all those that are feeling ill or under the weather. We ask this in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
And if you could stay standing for just a moment. Last night, President Barack Obama issued a proclamation honoring the victims of the attack in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, by ordering that the flag of the United States be flown at half-staff until sunset Friday, July 22nd. All flags are currently flying at half-staff in honor of the victims of the attack in Nice, France, and then the week before they were at half-staff for the officers killed in Dallas. So they will continue to do so until Friday as a mark of respect for the victims of the attack on the police officers in Baton Rouge. Judge Garcia issued a statement that reads, Hidalgo County stands in solidarity with East Baton Rouge Parish, the city of Baton Rouge, and the brave men and women who protect its citizens. It is unacceptable that 29 police officers have been shot and killed this year. That's an increase of more than 44% from 2015. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the fallen officers and to all the people of Baton Rouge. The United States of America is stronger when we're united. Let us unite in our support for all law enforcement officers and remember that they put their lives on the line every day to protect us. Please join us in a moment of silence for the fallen officers, their families, and for all the men and women who serve in law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our consent agenda, any concerns?
No, sir.
Move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, item 5A.
Morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning.
Michael Leo, County Judge's Office. 5A is discussion, consideration, and possible action to adopt the Hidalgo County Resolution of Intent to establish a property-assessed clean energy program, otherwise known as PACE, as required by Texas Local Government Code Section 399.008. Little background, as you may recall, towards the end of last year, we had representatives from the COG and from the PACE program here to tell us a little bit about the program, which allows commercial building owners to obtain financing for energy efficiency improvements, water conservation, and renewable retrofits. What we'd like to do today first is to allow Mr. Jonathan Blackburn from PACE to give us a brief overview of the PACE program and how the model could be structured and implemented here in Hidalgo County, and answer any questions. Just keep in mind that what we have before the court today is the initial resolution of intent. It doesn't bind the county to adopt the program, just enables us to move forward. There's still other procedural steps to follow before the program is officially adopted. But with that, we'd like to turn it over to PACE.
Judge, Commissioners, my name is Jonathan Blackburn. I'm with the Texas PACE Authority. We are a 501c3 nonprofit administrator of PACE programs in Texas. We work with the Lower Rio Grande Development Council in administering the programs in Willacy and Cameron counties. PACE, or Property Assessed Clean Energy, is a way for commercial property owners in Hidalgo County to finance improvements to their infrastructure. Essentially, it's a way to upgrade a commercial property with no money out of pocket. And it uses the property assessment mechanism, which is one of your powers as a local government. We have PACE programs currently in 2 counties in the Valley, as well as two counties in Central Texas, Travis County and Williamson counties. And recently, the cities of Houston and the city of Dallas have both adopted a program. In Texas, we think the potential for PACE uptake is pretty substantial. It's a fairly new program to Texas. We've just completed our first 2 projects in Travis County and expect to complete a number of other projects over the next few months. It's a program that has, I think, a pretty enormous potential to impact your commercial real estate and your commercial sector here in Hidalgo County. And we've been working very closely with Ken and with the Development Council down here to implement it, as I said, in the 2 other counties and hopefully here in Hidalgo as well. I'm happy to answer any questions about PACE, about the program itself, or to turn it over to Ken to address how the further mechanisms of the program.
I guess my first question is, I guess on the technical side of, you mentioned property assessment value. So similar, it works like a TERS agreement, where it seals the current valuation for an improvement of an upgrade to commercial property?
Well, so I actually think that's 2 different meanings of the term assessment. So when we use the term assessment in the PACE sense, it really refers to the same as like a sidewalk assessment or a sewer assessment. It's really just an amount that is due to finance that particular improvement. That's actually separate from the value of the property, which would still be determined by your appraisal district.
Okay.
If y'all recall, I had a lot of questions about this back when, and I asked a bunch of questions to a lot of people that were involved, and I didn't quite get the answers at the beginning. And I want to give a lot of credit to, I think he's in the audience, Brooke. Get your last name, Brooke. So McCleary. So we sat down, and what I was looking for was an example of where it had been done before, because I kept being told, Cameron County adopted it. Well, big deal if you adopt it. I wanted to see it implemented. And because it was such a new program, it was hard to get an example. And like you just mentioned, Travis County finally did a couple. But we really sat down, we worked our way through the process, and I got a little more comfortable. And now that there's examples, we can actually see how something went from, I guess, soup to nuts and get a better understanding. But before, it was just approve it because another county approved it, wasn't a good enough sell for us. But I think that we're ready to help you all try to move the project forward.
Thank you. And also, to be honest, there's still questions to be worked out.
Sure, there's a lot of mechanisms in there.
Yeah, we have a big meeting this afternoon, as a matter of fact, with this group right here, with legal, with the tax office, and the precincts as well, who've been real involved in this also. So there are questions to still be addressed. We won't ask the court to adopt the actual program that implements it, the resolution to implement it, until we have those addressed. This would just kind of enable us to move
there's
forward.
Third parties, there's intermediaries, there's different mechanisms involved.
Potential for delinquent collections on if these things go if the projects go delinquent.
Absolutely.
But the overall goal is to reduce energy consumption in the commercial market, pretty much.
Yes, and that's the public benefit that we see. One of the many public benefits that we see.
And might want to just add that if this program is improved in the county, it's strictly voluntary in terms of the commercial and industrial business owners that would want to participate. And the resolution, again, that's before you is a no-cost item to the county. It would meet the statutory requirements, give us the opportunity to schedule a public hearing, receive input from the general public on the program, and then present that input back to the Commissioners Court so that y'all can use that information to finally determine whether or not to implement that within the county. So,
okay, I make a motion on 5A.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. Just for the record, the public hearing is actually on the resolution of intent. That will be next month during a regular Commissioners Court meeting, so you can hear the feedback. Again, we'll be working forward with Victor Garza and legal and the tax office. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 6, our DA's office.
Morning, Commissioners. Judge Rosalinda Cantu here to present for the District Attorney's Office. Item 6A, approval of appropriation of funds in the amount of $50,000 to fund operating expenditures. This is under the investigation HB 65 fund.
For approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7, our District Clerk's office, Ms. Laura Hinojosa.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Ricardo Contreras on behalf of Laura Hinojosa, Hidalgo County District Clerk's Office. We had a posting by publication for a public hearing regarding our District Court Records Archive Preservation and Restoration Plan, which we're required to approve annually.
All right. At this time, we're going to convene a public hearing regarding the District Court Records Archive Preservation and Restoration Plan.
Yes, Judge.
Can you explain a little bit about what it is in case somebody does want to make any comments?
Absolutely. The state legislature created a technology fund which allows clerks statewide to be able to utilize those funds in order to preserve their court records. However, it does require an annual plan be written in order to comply with the state law. And so we submit this annual plan for your review and consideration.
Does anyone desire to make any comments one way or the other in this public hearing? If not, then at this time we're going to be closing the public hearing. And go ahead, sir.
So discussion, consideration, and approval of the District Court Records Archive Preservation and Restoration Plan. That's item.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And part 3 of this agenda item, gentlemen, we are requesting your consideration for appropriation of funds for this same effort in the amount of $263,173.50 to fund archival imaging and indexing of our case files. And these, again, are funds that are collected through this technology fund, which can be allocated for the use of these services.
number 3.
Yes, 783.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Item 8, our Constable, Precinct 1.
Morning, Commissioners, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant J.P. Salceda, Constable's Office, Precinct 1. Local Border Security Program, approval of resolution for LBSP 17 grant to designate Judge Ramon Garcia as grantees, authorized official, and to sign the required documents. Grant period September 1st, 2016, August 31st, 2017.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Precinct 4.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, Mr. Aitan.
B, Judge, A1 55381, Constable Precinct 4, on the Local Border Security Program, 1284. Approval of resolution for LBSP 17 grant to designate Judge Ramon Garcia as grantees authorization official and to sign requirement documents. And this grant period September 1st, 2016 to August 31st, 2017.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That's what I have, Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 9, our Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, County Judge, Commissioners. Captain Raul Cantu on
Morning.
behalf of our Hidalgo County Sheriff, Mr. Eddie Guerra. 9A, Operation Stone Garden, 1284, authorization and approval to deobligate $3,083.55 of Hidalgo Stone Garden, Hidalgo Operation Stone Garden 2014 overtime funds to allocate to City of Sullivan OPSD 2014 grant.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, pursuant to Texas Local Government Code Section 157.903, consideration and approval of an indemnification in the amount of $1,176.86 for overpayments made to 33 inmates between December 3rd, 2003 and October 8th, 2015.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C, authorization and approval to apply for the National Incident-Based Reporting System NIBRS grant with the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Item 10, our Executive Office.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Item 10A is discussion, consideration, and action designating myself, the Executive Officer, as the Chief Personnel Officer for the County of Hidalgo, Texas. It's a two-action item. The purpose of the Chief Personnel Officer is, as we all know, we're going through our budget process, and unfortunately, we do have our HR Director who is very, very ill. And so at this point, in order for us to continue with respect to the forms and whatnot and the procedures that we need to follow and new procedures and policies and forms that we want to put in place, I'm asking the court, this is under a statute, to name the Chief Personnel Officer.
And as I understand it, this is a temporary position.
This is so that we can facilitate what we're trying to do during our budgeting process. This has everything, also has a lot to do with the step and grade, also has to do with the consolidation of procedures and coming up with new policies, and which will require new forms to be developed.
Okay.
Motion approved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The companion item is discussion, consideration, and action designating the Chief Personnel Officer to prescribe and approve all personnel forms as authorized by Local Government Code Section 151.903, subsection F.
Motion approved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 10B is discussion and action on tax resale bids received on the properties described, and there is an attached list. We do have Mr. Cano who is going to make a presentation for us.
Once again, good morning, Judge, Commissioners. For the record, Michael Cano with the Linebarger Firm. These are the same 78 properties that we discussed in the Drainage District meeting. These are properties that we foreclosed on for the non-payment of delinquent taxes. This will bring in about $121,000 to the county, and it is our general recommendation that we accept these bids. Again, we're not displacing any families from their designated homestead. A vast majority of these properties are actually eyesores within the county. They're either empty lots or abandoned homes. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have on any particular property.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Item 10C.
Item 10C, thank you, Judge. Item 10C is approved to accept settlement check from Apollo Managing General Agency in the amount of $662.43, and this will settle an auto accident claim with one of our county vehicles.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, I'm going to temporarily skip D, and I'll go right back to it. I want to go to E, presentation of annual report on our county library system. Mr. Betcher is in the audience. Arnold?
Got some handouts. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
We'll get them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Marisol Vidales. I'm the current president for HCLS, and I am also...
If you're wanting us to look at this, just to wait.
I can wait a minute. Yes, absolutely.
We'll pass it.
Y'all may have seen that document before. It's something that we've been trying to circulate to y'all.
All right.
Okay. As I was saying, I'm the current president for HCLS, and I am also the library director for Dr. Hector P. Garcia Memorial Library in Mercedes. I know some of you know what HCLS stands for and are familiar with us as we've been trying to visit you. For those who do not, HCLS is the Hidalgo County Library System. It was established in 1971, and we have been in existence for 45 years already. We are a federated library system, and we are only one of 6 in the state of Texas. We are also the largest federated library system because there is 13 municipal libraries that form our group. The federated library system, its purpose is always the same. It is to provide library services across the county without the county having to establish a county library. I know in meeting with some of you previously, Bibliotech in Bexar County was brought up. Bibliotech is only a county library. It is funded solely by the county. It costs the county $2.2 million annually to maintain it. Aside from Bibliotech, they also provide $1.8 million to the municipal library, which is the San Antonio Public Library System. The benefit and the power of a group such as ours is that we can provide the resources of libraries such as Bibliotech without the major added costs. Our goal is really simple. It is to provide free library services not only to our city residents, but also to our county-only residents. We are doing not just books. I know every time somebody hears about a library, well, it's books. Well, it's not just books. We do have technology classes, computer classes, job skill, job fairs, so many other things that we do. So we want to tell you what we've done this year, who we served, and with that, I would like to pass it on to Jenny, who's going to tell you a little bit more and highlight some of the statistics that are in that report that you're looking over right now.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Jenny Espinosa, and I'm from the Peñitas Public Library. In the past decade, public library services has transformed drastically. Wireless services, e-books, mobile access, and chat reference are now the part of the basic public library services. Public libraries are now, more than ever, the place to make communities connections. We serve more than 830,000 Hidalgo County residents and almost 300,000 county-only residents. The makeup of our community has become more diverse. Information has moved from our resources to a commodity. How we serve the public coming into our doors is responsive and reflective for our community needs. Some of our numbers from 2015 is 2.5 million visits, 1.8 million checkouts, nearly 1 million questions answered. Summer meals were provided to children and teens, 16,000. 1 million computer use and 200,000 Wi-Fi uses. Some of the items that we're providing besides books, we're providing e-books, free Wi-Fi, chat reference, mobile hotspot checkouts, language learning modules, online GED and continuing education, computer classes, summer reading programs for children, teens, and adults, bilingual services, and story time. In the months of June and July, libraries hosted summer reading programs for children, teens, and adults. All ages encouraged to continue reading in the summer and report what they read. Presentation activities, all these occurred through these months, and at the end, we have a big celebration for these programs. We also have partnered with Texas Hunger Initiative and school nutritional programs to provide meals for these families. We cannot do it alone, and of course, we need partnerships. And with them, we are able to provide tax assistance, health insurance marketplace, summer meals, health human services, level 1 site, and workforce community, and many more. Let me pass it into our next presentation.
Thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I just would like to point out that we do have representatives from all 3 precincts here today, and we really do serve a great amount of individuals. You can see in our statistics that Yenny highlighted more than 2 million visits, which is just amazing. I think it amounts to less than about a tenth of a penny per visit. If you average that out through your funding. So we are a very popular organization. We are an organization that serves a lot of individuals. And just to kind of bounce back to the beginning, my name is Arnoldo Becho. I believe Mr. Guerra introduced me. But I'm here to represent the Hidalgo County Library System. Specifically, I work in Weslaco, but we are your county library system, and we're very happy to serve you all. I have the 2 difficult topics to talk about today, accreditation being the first one. Right now, we have a very significant issue in regard to accreditation. We struggle every year to meet the maintenance of effort requirements. Maintenance of effort is the average amount of money that we have to spend per citizen. Because we struggle to meet the maintenance of effort, we rely on indirect cost, which the state looks at as a temporary solution. We'd like to get away from relying on indirect costs, and we would like to get out from under that issue. Accreditation is extremely important. It amounts to millions of dollars of grants every year. If we're not accredited, we can't get E-rate, which that's almost all of our computing infrastructure in our libraries. So it's incredibly important. Computers are probably the most important service that the public uses for on a daily basis. Yes, they come in for books, but there is no other place in the community where a customer can get free access to a computer and internet. The schools, those are for kids. The colleges, you have to pay to go to the local colleges. So the library really is a very important resource in the community. So we have a maintenance of effort problem. And we, every time we accept funding from the county, we are responsible for every single county citizen that does not reside in the city. 33% of our customers are county residents only. But right now, only 2% of our funding comes from the county. That makes it very difficult. All of our cities have to pick up the slack for that. And we've really had a tough time doing that. And like I said, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as, indirect cost goes. And every year we're doing our best to meet that. And we really do need the county because what the county does is it allows us to spread out our resources. some of us are short in librarians, some of us are short in books. But because of the county partnership, we're able to partner and spread out those resources so that we all remain accredited. So we need the county, but we also are provided a responsibility every time we decide to be a county library system. So we do have a maintenance of effort issue, and that's something that our proposition for an ebook library is attempting to combat. The ebook library will assist us with that accreditation issue, but most importantly, it will show that the county is doing something very strong, a very strong movement to combat literacy. And I know that's important to y'all because I've heard about your community learning center initiatives, and that's extremely useful and important. And that shows that the county wants to do something about literacy. Right now, the RGV is behind Texas in regard to literacy rates, and Texas is behind the nation in regard to literacy rates. So this is something that is an issue here in the Valley, and supporting our e-library initiative is something that you all can do to combat that issue. An electronic library would offer a digital collection of books, magazines, audiobooks, and more to all the residents. It would eliminate the issue of travel. I know that the county is a big county, and it's difficult to get to our libraries sometimes, but this would eliminate that problem. It would be available to all citizens of the county, no matter their location, no matter the hour. It would be an excellent pair to your community learning centers, because all these community learning centers would immediately have a library collection overnight. Our proposition asks for a startup funding of $400,000. Very nearly all of these funds would go directly to books that would permanently become property of the county. This would establish a collection of about 40,000 ebooks, and this would be equivalent to a small library. So initially, we would be opening up, essentially, a library like what we have in Mercedes, what we have in Donna, everywhere in the county.
Just a quick question on that. How
Yes.
would you have access to that book? Through an app or a website, or?
It would be through any library card from any library in the system in Hidalgo County. We would sign you up for a library card, and using that library card, you would get access through an application. The application works on your phone, it works on a computer, works on a tablet. Part of this initiative includes the librarians administering the system for free at no cost to you all, and also an initiative to market and promote the system and train individuals. We would go to each of the CRCs and train your staff to use this system and to provide access to your customers. And all that we do just, as a part of the Hidalgo County Library System, and because this is something that's important to us. There has been some discussion preliminarily regarding the initial startup cost. It should be noted that the e-library that we're planning on opening would cost less than a quarter of what a small building would cost. The branch that was just built in FAR cost about $2.5 million. Our proposition would open a library with more books than that location for about $400,000. And this is something that y'all could open beginning, in January. It's something that we really hope you all will fund. And as I said, it comes at about a quarter of the cost of what building a building would cost. What is most crucial about our plan is the annual funding, though. That's the most important part of our plan. If we were to scale down the initial startup cost, it wouldn't be as impactful, but it is doable still. And we'd love to have a frank discussion about your funding abilities, and we'd love to provide honest feedback of where that funding would would take the system. Optimally, we would love to have the proposition that we have on the table approved, but we would love to talk about, what can be done in regard to adjusting that initial number. But what is most important is that sustained annual funding, the $65,000 that we propose from year 2 to 3 to 4 on out. The reason why that is important is because it helps us with our accreditation issues. We just talked about how we were having a really tough time meeting our maintenance of effort numbers, and those annual funds would help to combat that issue. And those annual funds would also ensure that this would eventually become a impactful entity within the state. We would be able to build something that we could hang our hat on, a calling card saying, hey, Hidalgo County has this amazing electronic library, and they have this, library system, right alongside it, and we could build a electronic library, similar to the things that the bigger cities have. But it really depends on that sustained funding that is proposed within the project. Well,
let me tell you, great presentation. Circle back to my office. I tasked Sergio with putting this as one of the items that we'll talk about during the budget process. But circle back to my office. I know we've been talking about it just so we can iron out some details. And then, the whole core to look at it at budget time, when we have other items to look at too. But it sounds like a great idea.
Commissioner,
and a cheap way of providing library services.
I sat with a group, and I was entertaining the idea as well. I mean, I know we have CRC centers throughout our districts, the access to e-books for a lot of our residents in the real populated area, especially them being closest to their homes, is probably one of the best benefits overall. But I'd like to sit back and figure out how we can help them, whether it's a ramp up or a full proposition. But yeah, I'm entertaining it.
Yeah, and thank you all for the time. Thank you all for considering us. I know I covered a lot of information. I covered it quickly, but what it all boils down to is this is a message that we can send to the community that we're seriously combating the literacy issues that are in the valley. It's probably one of our biggest issues. Reading is the most important thing we can do to ensure the success of a community.
Let me ask you a question. When we're talking about funding and partnerships and all, obviously we have local universities. We got A&M coming here. We got UTRGV. Are you looking at just one funding source from the county, or could we build up a coalition in regards to a literacy program for our residents through other funding sources? You're just needing the funding, right? Doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah, we'd love to build a coalition. We would like to start it within the county system because that's the entity that we come from. That's our doorway to, establishing the foundation of the system. But once the foundation is established, once we have some, someone that's told, the county's told us, hey, we're going to support this, there's some funding committed, yeah, then we can go ahead and look for a coalition.
All right, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, y'all, for the opportunity to speak to y'all today.
Judge Commissioners, we have item 10D, 1 and 2, but I'm going to ask Ms. Flores to come up and present 11A first, and then she can go with 10D, 1 and 2. 11A is Head Start, Ms. Flores, with respect to a award notice.
Thank you for the opportunity to do that. I have a quick presentation regarding facts about Head Start, and so if we'll get the clicker going. It's on. Okay. Let me have the yellow part. Okay. These are the 12 most significant facts about our Head Start program. First of all, the program has been in existence for 50 years, 33 of which have been under the county, and we believe we have brought positive changes to the lives of 3,690 families are clients. We provide services in health and mental health and dental health, nutrition, disability, 172 days a year. This year it'll be in 40 centers, and our services are from 7:45 to 5:15. We have created hundreds of permanent jobs in our program for our parents. 37% of the employees last year were former Head Start parents who qualified to be employed in our program. We offer these parents an opportunity to get an education, to break the cycle of poverty and illiteracy. We provide release time, and we provide financial support, leading to associate's, bachelor's, and master's degree in early childhood education. We also provide for those who do not go into this area. We allow them 4 hours of release time from work to attend school on a weekly basis. We live our mission as parents move out of the cycle of poverty and illiteracy and on to higher paying jobs. We believe that any employee that moves out of Head Start to a higher paying job is part of the cycle that we're working so hard to eliminate: illiteracy and poverty. You heard a presentation about illiteracy. One of the initiatives in our program is to teach every parent to read to their child, all 3,690. We begin each new year with new parents employed and the support that they need to go on to get schooling. Fact number 2, we grow our own teachers. In 2003, a handful of teachers had degrees in our program. By May of 2016, 112 teachers have associate's degrees, and 83 have bachelor's degrees. This year, 32 staff members went to school during the school year. But before that, hundreds were going to school. More than 100 staff at the beginning per semester. Over the 13 years, we have educated our staff and grown our own teachers. Thus, pursuing other degrees are granted also the time that I talked about, release time to go forward. Fact number 3, we transformed the teaching staff from non-degreed to degreed and met the Head Start mandate by 2013. This was an unfunded mandate. What does this mean? It means that we required more money to have teachers with associate's degrees, an average of $7,933 more than that associate degree person, plus benefits. For a teacher to be hired that was a bachelor's degree teacher, it required $10,795 more than the associates, than the non-degree. So that when we look at the totals, this program has absorbed the cost of $1,690,000 plus benefits without additional funds from the federal government to transform our staff from non-degreed to degreed. Fact number 4, we have always done more for less. In 2004, 834 employees were funded by the grant. 48 employees were funded by the Texas Department of Agriculture for a total of 882. As of May 2016, 758 employees are funded with a grant, 26 with the Texas Department of Agriculture. A reduction of 98 positions without displacing a single employee has been successfully achieved. In addition, we serve 120 more children since 2010 for a total of 3,690 children. And we continue to deliver quality services. We do more for less. We are allowed an administrative cost, fact number 5, of 15%. However, we continue to streamline operations to maintain it at less than 10%. Currently, it is at 9%. Fact number 6. Our grant, as all federal grants, requires a 20% local match. For us, it translates to $6,562,132. In order for this county to access the grant of $26,248,527, we have to find a way to come up with this. We have never imposed this on the county. We have been able to achieve it through our partnerships, through various strategies. For example, parent and volunteer time, which has to be meticulously recorded and kept with sign-in sheets and sign-out sheets and purposes for this volunteer work. We also have funding that comes in from the school districts, and I'll share that with you in a minute. There are teachers in our classrooms from the districts that come in, and all of this contributes to the local match. We also have other community services. We have over 100 MOUs with local organizations other than schools. Fact number 7. Our school readiness plan ensures that our children acquire the skills and knowledge and attitudes necessary for success in school for later learning in life. We use a high-quality research-based curriculum, teaching strategies and assessments, which are aligned with the district's state requirements and correspond to the new Head Start framework. Through our school readiness partnerships with our districts, we have developed over the last 9 years, specifically with PSJA, we developed the best early childhood education program, which meets our standards, meets the state's requirements, and in 2013 received the HEB Excellence in Education Award and was designated as the best early childhood program in Texas. This prototype has been copied with other districts. Fact number 8, we have Memorandum of Understanding for School Readiness Partnerships model with 7 districts: PSJA, Edinburgh ISD, McAllen ISD, EdCouch ISD, Weslaco, Mercedes ISD, and La Jolla. Combined, this district sends 77 state-certified early childhood education teachers who co-teach in our program with our assistant teachers in 136 classrooms out of a total of 86, because we cut 9 classrooms, and I'll tell you why. Districts are contributing approximately $4.5 million, almost $4,600,000, at the rate of $59,000 per teacher, including benefits. 77 teachers contribute this. This shows that the districts have the confidence in our program to collaborate with us, to send their staff to us, so that we can meet the requirements of the educational requirements of Texas as well as Head Start. In addition, all districts provide us with educational services for special needs children. I didn't even put the dollar amount to that, but they serve all 10% or more of special ed children in our facilities. Fact number 9. We have 100% family engagement. That is a fact that districts cannot compare with. I'm not putting down districts. I'm just stating that it is a fact that our teachers may consult with parents every day when they sign their child in and when they sign their child out. Because our children are not just dropped off. They are signed in and signed out. We teach all our parents to read to children and provide all parents the opportunity for financial literacy. We have classroom libraries where we allow children to take books home. It is our goal to have every parent trained to teach to their child. We are very much behind the literacy. The only way we're going to find a way to deal with literacy is to start when the children are very young, with a parent being a part of it. Once they're grown, their habits are developed. Fact number 10. Our past performance shows that we have consistently met 1,800 Head Start standards. We provide high-quality services as documented through a record of no deficiencies and numerous areas of strength in our triennial reviews. In 2014, we were thrown into recompetition because of teacher performance. One area, which is now being considered to be removed, cost us to go there. It was 0.01% below the bottom, 10%. The way this works is that when we are reviewed, 80 programs were reviewed, there's a minimum threshold on this instrument that teachers have to score. And we met the minimum threshold. But then they said, well, no, now we're going to take the bottom 10%. And we were there by 0.01%, which was a good thing because all programs have to go through recompetition now. We went here early, and we've been able to come out really very well. Our external audits continuously show no findings. And that's a recorded fact with the county. Fact number 11. We received a competitive grant award in June the 30th, 2016. This goes from July the 1st, which you're going to see in a minute, through, the first period went from July the 1st, it goes 5 years, July the 1st through June the 30th, 2021. This is the first time that Head Start has a continuous grant. It had always been year to year for 50 years, and then the rules changed. So our program could have been taken over by anybody who applied for the funds and scored high on the application process, which we scored the highest. And so therefore, we have our grant intact. Our application, again, was ranked the highest. So for a total of 5 years, this county will have $164,053,295 secured for Head Start and its employees and its clients. Fact number 12. We had a compliance waiver. I asked the Office of Head Start. We've never been able to get more money. It's always been the same amount of money for a very long time. We have creatively cut positions, and so it's so different this year. When we were told that we were going to get the grant, we were told we couldn't announce anything until the grant award was made. But we went through a negotiation process, and I negotiated with them to find ways to see how we could do more with what we had. They recommended cut children's positions, which was something we weren't going to do. We did not cut children's positions when we had Secret Station, and we cut $1.4 million and operated without it. So we weren't going to do that. The needs are too big in our community to cut children's positions. So I asked, could we consolidate? Because the number of children in a classroom are 17 and 20. Can we put 20 children instead of 17? The first review from our Office of Head Start in Region 6 I was told that Washington wouldn't approve it, so I asked permission to talk to Washington and communicated with Dr. Blanca Enriquez, the director of Head Start at the national level, to ask to see if I could do this so we could release funds to be able to move our lowest paid employees to $20,000. And so the grant included the waiver, which I am about to share with the commissioners too. And in that waiver, there's a paragraph in there that states financial assistance to improve salaries. This waiver reduces the number of teachers and assistant teachers by 9 each, and thus allows the program to reallocate $584,565 and pay higher wages to our hourly personnel, including assistant teachers, and ensures that the minimum annual salary will be at least $20,000 plus benefits. The remainder will be used to increase classroom teachers and other staff salaries. This is not a COLA. This is the application itself. And so this was approved during the negotiation process, and we'll come back to commissioners for further approval. There are half of our employees that are under $20,000. Fact number 13 and the last, which reiterates that we believe that we're strong, we're successful, and we continue to focus on our mission to break the cycle of poverty and illiteracy. Because we come from a place of yes, where we say yes to every child. Yes, we will go to school, and we will get you ready for school. Yes, you will learn. Yes, your health and disability issues will be taken care of. A place where we also say yes to the parents. Yes, we will take care of your children while we help you become self-reliant and find a job or become one of us. The yes attitude is what helps us secure more than $6 million every year of matching funds to keep the grant going. This is the same attitude that during sequestration, while other programs cut enrollment, we did not send one child home. This same yes attitude is what gives us the strength to write a grant proposal that awarded Hidalgo County Head Start Program a 5-year grant over other competitors, including Avance, Region 1, and 2 or 3 more. I wanted to present those facts because I hardly ever come forward with telling you a lot of the things that we do. I know that you're aware about some of them, but maybe this would bring to the forefront what we were all about. When you look at the application and the item in the agenda, it announces that we have a grant. And the grant is for the remainder of the year, beginning July the 1st. And the grant is for, if I can find my grant here. You have the grant award in your packet. And it shows the remainder of the year, there's $11 million, which is what the feds did. They took the grant and gave us 56% from January to June, and 44% from July the 1st to December the 3rd. And the grant itself is for $11 million, $347,294. It also includes money for training, which is where we pay tuition and fees. And again, this grant award goes from July the 1st to December the 31st. The waiver is approved from July the 1st to December, and then from January to December for a year and a half. And then we'll have to apply for another waiver for us to be able to continue to access those $500,000 to keep on going with the salaries at a higher rate. The grant has provisions and conditions. And of course, one of them is that we have to always have the 20% match. We cannot spend more than $15% for the administrative cost. We have the conditions about the waiver and approving the class size, and it's spelled out in there under remarks. It talks about the whole notion of all the areas in the grant. In the standards, as well as the plan that talks about all the requirements that are there with that particular grant, and all those are listed in there. Included is conducting a health screening and safety environment of each center and family, child care, home where services are provided.
Flores, I think you.
Gone ahead.
There's no question that you and your staff did a very good job and have been doing a good job, and the fact that you were awarded this grant for a 5-year period clearly demonstrates that the federal government, the funding agency, believes that you are doing a good job. And you ought to be thanked by the residents and the citizens of the community and congratulated for your efforts.
Thank you very much, sir. The grant award begins July the 1st. There are conditions. We'll have to come back to work with you. One of them that is critical is training for the governance board. That has to be part of the grant and has to be part of the conditions that are there. And we will work through the details of those conditions. I'm very proud. I'm very pleased. I'm very excited that our application did surface to the top, and that our program is guaranteed for the first time for 5 years. And so this is an item for your information, and I knew I had to bring it forth in a session like this and not informally.
All right, you're also
Any
here
questions?
on item number 10. 10D.
Yes.
10D is David.
Yes. Under item number 10, this is the COLA, okay? And the COLA for us comes once in a while, not all the time. And during that time, we do the COLA part, which says that we have to move the hiring scale up by the minimum that the federal government proposes that we should do. And so when that is done, there's also opportunities for us to do any differential salaries. And those differential salaries come as part of the COLA. I know that in discussing this with Mr. Guerra and with Mr. Silguero, the portion there about what is the meaning of COLA and how it works is a little different, I think, or seen a little different. But for us, it is a process. It is an application. And that application came to you for January through June the 30th. And it requires the approval of the Policy Council with a signature page, the approval of commissioners with a signature page, and then it's submitted to the Office of Head Start. And then they approve it, and then we act. So for all purposes, we go through 3 approvals for every action that has to do with our budget, actions having to do with COLA, expenditures that are either, approved in the budget. So that information came to you for January to June the 30th. And now, because we have a new grant, it's for July the 1st to December.
Ms. Flores?
Yes.
Is this the item that came in last month
Yes,
pertaining
sir.
to the adjustments on the
Yes,
COLA?
sir. Absolutely.
And if I may, for the court, and if I could just start with the program itself, I do sit as the liaison to the department, and no doubt do I agree with the judge that you've done an impeccable job. Your staff are as good as it gets when providing the services for our Head Start program. You've done everything you're supposed to do and more in regards to assuring that program gets continued funded. However, with that, we did have a meeting in our office. I did invite Mr. Silguero as well as Valdeguerra to it because I went back to the agenda item pertaining. There's obviously some ambiguity pertaining to how you interpret COLA versus how the county interprets COLA.
Yes.
As the county goes on any adjustments of salaries, and Mr. Silguero, you can come up, and as well as if Mr. Guerra would like to chime in. There's a process that the county has in regards to identifying any salary adjustments for all personnel. When we interpret COLA, it's a standard COLA. It's a rate based on the index, and it's applied across the board. So when we brought the item on the agenda last month, the interpretation I had, regardless of the backup, was that the authority given by the court was specifically the adjustment to the COLA. And I know we had a long discussion on that at our office. I think since then you've reached out to other court members. And I guess at this point, I had requested Mr. Silguero, obviously, as well as Mr. Valdeguerra, to just go through the process to make sure that every time there's a request from any department or any elected official, it goes through the process. And since that one, we didn't really look at it. It wasn't identified on the agenda on salary adjustments. I had a lot of questions pertaining to that. I know we discussed a little bit at length the justification, which, and that's all fine. But I think it's our duty to the general public, any adjustments, whether it's COLA or whether it's salary adjustments, need to be presented, similar like we've done it on Commissioner's Court, to assure that the general public is very aware of what we're doing in regards to salaries.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know what the proposal is on this next one.
Okay. Let me explain a little bit about it. Okay. Yes, I did hear that there was a concern, and so I did reach out to you, our liaison, first, and met with you. And when it was presented to me, the whole notion of going to Valde or Mr. Silguero was something that in the past 13 years has not been part of the COLA process for this program. And so I did agree that I didn't have a problem with doing that. The Policy Council reviews in detail everything that happens with anything related to Head Start. I don't move forward without that approval. And so when all this happened, my whole notion was that I had not followed a procedure that's in place. And my thing was, well, if I'm not told that this is what I have to do, then of course I'm going back to revisit that and make sure that I do. So when this item was reworked or placed on the agenda again, I did meet with Valde and I did meet with Mr. Silguero on how the item should be stated, and then I put my backups. But I took my guidance on the item from the Office of Head Start. Our program officer, what happened is we came back last Monday from being shut down 3 weeks. And when I called, I said, look, the grant award is here. There's certain conditions. It talks about COLA. What does this mean? And she said, you have to resubmit it. And I said, as something new and different, she says, submit the same thing. So what she told me.
My question is more for the legal authority that the court has given you, being the fact that Commissioners Court has fiscal oversight.
Right.
In there specifically, the agenda item
Sure.
reads pertaining to COLA. It says nothing about salary adjustments. So my first question is a legal question of what the court gave authority for at that point in time. It has nothing to do with whether or not the adjustments were warranted or
not.
Or not.
Sure.
It had nothing to do with that.
Right.
It's just going back to the wording on the agenda and what the court gave authority for. And I think that's a question that I had posed to Mr. Silguero as well as Mr. Balaguerra, and I deferred to Atlas and Hall, just to make sure that if
Right.
there's
Is
anything that
Raul-
we
is
have...
Raul back there?
He's
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So that if
Sure.
there's anything that we had to ratify or bring back, just to assure that the authority given
Sure.
by the court was followed by the agenda item.
The presentation was for an application approval. This is the way this presentation is submitted. It requires an application process. It doesn't talk about COLA in isolation. It talks about an application that requires an explanation for anything above the 1.8, because it was 1.8. And then with what we were given, it went up to the 2%, and then we did the additional staff. Through the years, we've never had equity and parity across the board in our divisions or in our departments or our categories of staff. Through the years, as we have done COLAs and even budgets, in 2007 we did teachers to do parity and equity across the program internally, and then trying to compete, there's no way we can with the public schools. But we established a salary scale that is not step and grade, because I don't have increases every year. It's fixed with associates, bachelors, and masters. Back in 2008, we did center managers the same way, equity, pay, and parity, so we could have equity across the county for our center managers, and then comparing to other entities, other Head Start programs. We did coordinators in 2012, and we did directors in 2012. The same process, trying to do equity and payment. We had never done the administrative staff that you got in this particular part. Okay, and in the whole process, we explained how that had worked in the past and how we continue.
Right,
to do it.
and again, my question just goes back to what the
Sure.
court gave you authority to do,
Right.
I guess, and the agenda item as it read. I know Raul Silguero, I know you sat in on that meeting. We had discussions about it.
Yes, sir. I think, Commissioners, a few years ago, the Department of Health and Human Services shifted a lot of responsibility to the governing board, which is Commissioners Court in this case, from the Policy Council. And it made it clear that the governing board was responsible for the personnel policies, procedures, the oversight, the legal, and the management of the program, to include the compensation of key positions like the executive director, finance director, and so forth. In doing so, it gives the court more oversight in terms of how we process those procedures, similar to the way we do it with other county departments. I think the issue you had, Commissioner, that there was very limited information on the last agenda, which simply was a one-line approval of a COLA, and this was in relation to they've got a funding. They got funding to provide a 1.8% COLA, and it also allows them to do some differential. They call it differential COLA.
I've got a question. Who
Yes,
was
sir.
the committee, or who decided to give these raises?
The Head Start director recommends to the Policy Council. They then come to Commissioners Court, and it requires the approval of Commissioners Court. But we did not review them. We do not have access to their salary information, their salary schedules. But, they have their own personnel, their own budget, their own operations. So we don't normally get it currently, Judge Commissioners. I think we need to put protocols in place so that there is some review and advice to the court on these matters.
Raul, where does that word differential COLA come from?
It just means that the Department of Head Start will accept from the local Head Start a salary recommendations, COLA adjustments that may be different for other people. In other words, in this case, that they will accept like so many employees are getting 2%, or everybody's going to get a 2%, except this few employees are going to get a different percentage, and that has to be justified. In other words, they allow for a different percentage to other employees with a justification. They have to, in the narrative, present the justification for that, and if they accept the justification, then they can go ahead and do it.
Because I see some increases here that are about 15 plus, 10 plus, 8,000, 4,000, and then the other guys only got like not even $1,000 somehow.
Yes, sir. In May, when the item first came up, they were required to submit before the end of June the application. It got approved, and the COLA was paid retroactively. Actually, it wasn't we were under the impression that it was a 2% COLA here forward, May going on, but it actually was for the first 6 months, and they got approved, and then they were given a lump sum payment. All the employees that were received the COLA, it was approved on a lump sum payment. They're now having to resubmit the application for the second part of the year to continue those 2%. That hasn't been approved. The COLA that you approved last in May was just for the first 6 months. They're asking for permission to submit an application to continue that COLA, those 2% and the other salary adjustments for the remainder of the year.
But is 2% enough for the cost of living?
That was under the formula that we used. That was the amount the dollar amounts that were available. Correct?
Yes. Okay. Our COLA is not ever part of any county funds. It has to be from our federal grant. And the federal grant, and that's all that was granted. They didn't grant any more.
But maybe you don't get me, but if everybody would have gotten the same amount, say 2%, 3%,
yes,
the 1.8 or 2% would have gone up to what? If everybody say, for example,
different positions for different people. You're right. The lowest paid employees would be earning less. You're right. That's the way to.
I think what the Commissioner is saying is,
no. We do away with the raises and just give cost of living to everybody.
What Commissioner is saying is, rather than give 2% and differential, what would be the percentage that everybody would get? Say 2.3, 2.2, 2.5, whatever.
Whatever it is.
And did you all do your math on it or your worksheet?
The what?
Did you all have a worksheet on it?
Yes. Yes, sir. We worked with our policy council on it, and the part that stands out that you're talking about, it's just it's a process that we followed for explaining to the feds what was the basis for us to do more than 2% for the 5 people that were there. That is allowed under them. They even tell you that a Head Start director cannot earn more than $181,000. We're never going to be there, and we don't intend to. And so, yes, they even provide that in the guidance for the COLA. And then they also tell you that as long as you provide a justification for what you're doing, my pure on-the-board justification is equity and parity to other department heads here in the county, to other Head Start programs, and even to superintendents, because our program operates very much like a school system.
Ms. Flores, that would be correct, but I don't think we're the ones that should stipulate what the comparison is. That's why we have HR, and that's why we have the executive office, so that we're disengaged from the process of a comparison.
That's right.
Because we've got to compare apples to apples here. So, and I'm going back because you had some submittals on comparisons. Well, and again, to me, I'm not saying that they don't warrant it, but I think our due diligence is to present all adjustments. Yes. Now knowing that it's a 6-month lump sum payment concerns me a little bit because it's retroactive to 6 months.
Right.
So, I mean, I would have thought that the best methodology, because we've had this discussion on the failure or the difficulty of keeping bus drivers and other personnel in your operations, I would have felt it more equitable to get the even amount and spread it all the way through your staff, and of which I believe that's exactly what the agenda item read.
Okay.
I know that this was posted last minute, and I know we had it in our backup, but again, I think it's one of the things. It's not the question. I think you should advocate if there's anybody that warrants any adjustment to salary, please bring it to court. Advocate for it in open court, but to be done through the COLA system and then. There's a degree of disparity between what was approved versus what was done. concerns me a little bit, and not because of me personally, me as a, without pride or prejudice to the general public who's asking these questions. And believe me, the phones have been running and questions have been asked, and we have to, so what I'm suggesting to the court is we look at it objectively. We come in with recommendations, but we do our due diligence to ensure that our fiscal oversight, whatever we're entitled to do, that we do it to the best of our ability for the benefit of the general public and the program itself. So,
Sir, I have no problem with how you want to proceed. I do have to remind you that we do follow protocol provided to us by the Office of Head Start.
yes.
And that protocol is retroactive. We didn't invent that, and we didn't act.
Oh, no. And
that's part of what we have always had in Head Start.
Right.
We have, and as I mentioned to you, I said 3 different years we've done different people, and the reaction that is here today about us was there too. It may not have risen to your level, but it was there. We had people upset because anytime somebody earns more money than another person, they're going to be upset, and that's understandable. My question is, at what point am I, as an administrator in this organization for 13 years, have the right to have parity and equity to other department heads?
Yeah.
At what point?
And I will give you my point to that as an elected official. When it goes through the proper process of an evaluation and vetting to make sure that the comparison is fair and it's impartial. That's why we have
And we'll always have this, the apples to oranges.
Yeah.
We have 3,690 clients served 172 days a year. How many have called your office to complain about our services? We are talking about clients.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question on letter D, B, on the increases for the 5 employees.
Yes, sir.
To both Ms. Flores and Raul, can that money be used for the rest of the employees, or is it only allotted for them?
Sir, there's no problem with using it for the rest of the employees. This was our administrative recommendation.
Right.
It went through the procedure with Policy Council. It would require Policy Council to agree to it too, and so we're caught in a time frame.
I just wanted to make sure that was an option,
Right.
because if not, we're talking about this
If
for
we don't
nothing.
reach-
But since it is an option,
Sure.
the court can consider it.
Sure.
That was my question.
And it will go
As a
back
follow-up to that, yeah.
because there has to be agreement with both boards. And the agreement with both boards has a time frame of July the 31st. If it doesn't reach the Office of Head Start, we've lost it. Okay? So if the court
Well,
decides.
if this court recommends that to happen, I would recommend to you to call a special call meeting so you can get it approved.
Yes.
And as the
And we
liaison-
will have to have a meeting with the Policy Council staff, with the Policy Council itself. And as described, I am very transparent with everything I provide for our Policy Council.
But I'm pretty sure that if you would tell the policy council what your recommendations are, they would go along with it, wouldn't it?
Sir, and this was my recommendation, and we have
What
a
is-
Policy
what is your
Council member
recommendation?
here who was in the meeting. He's
What was your
present.
recommendation? To keep the increases or what?
Yes, sir.
Or
To continue with what we had from January to June the 30th.
Ms. Flores, if I may, I had a long discussion with the chairman. He was going to be here, and he's willing to work with the court. All I'm suggesting that it's fair and equitable across. If it's something that you're advocating for salary adjustments, and I say present it to the court, and let's vote it up and down. I think that's the best way to do it, so that you get so we do our job at the end of the day. I've asked Raul Seguero to give us some models, as well as Valda, just to look at different options for the court to decide on what's in the best interest. The chairman was willing to work with us, as well as all the board members that the court has appointed to be on that committee. So we just want to work with you through the process to assure at the end of the day, whatever's done, whether we're ratifying the adjustments to salaries done, but that we do it, and we do it in open court and vote on it. In no way am I saying you not being transparent, because you were just doing your job. But I think it's one of the things, especially now that we're looking out here forward, is what do we do, and to assure that we do it accordingly with how we do it with all other departments that we have oversight and fiscal oversight.
Can you go back and with the Policy Council and have a meeting with them? Maybe Mr. Higuero Valde can be there, and so everything can be.
I don't have a problem with calling the Policy Council. I do have to have a quorum of more parents than community members. That's the way it's set up. That's the way it works. And so we had our meeting yesterday. There were 8 members of the Policy Council present. One of the members present is here with us, and our attorney is here with us too. But to go back would mean we would have to post an agenda item, give it the time frame that we need to have, and go over it again. If you are directing me to do something different, I would like to know what it is that you want me to do, because this was not an overnight recommendation, and it was validated by what I submitted. And so if I'm looking strictly at equity and parity, that's where it came from. Okay? If
I'm just looking
yeah.
what the court, is saying.
Sure.
That maybe you can go back and
and
make sure the policy council understands everything that happened. And
as I'm looking at here, there's some bus drivers or whatever you call them, maintenance, that were making $7.80 an hour.
Yes, sir. Those are there's 400. Those are the ones I talked to you about. This waiver that we cut 9 teacher positions, that we're at least being able to move to at least $20,000 a year, because we don't have that. The Head Start has never had that, but we have 400 of those employees. We're a very big, large organization, only second to the Sheriff's Department when it comes to the budgets and when it comes to what we do. A little increase is going to cost a lot, and I don't have a stream of funds that generates additional funds each year. As I pointed to you on the facts about Head Start, I have to do with a number that is fixed. And if I am going to be able to continue to pay electricity and water and gas and everything else that takes to run this program, then I have to find ways to cut. We've done all the cutting that we can. I showed you we cut 98 positions over the last 10 years. I want to know where else, do I go to find more money to do more for those lowest paid employees?
Yes. Do you have a deadline of?
Yes, sir. There's a deadline of July 31st. If this doesn't reach them by then, we've lost the application to COLA.
Raul, have you had an opportunity to evaluate the issue we've been discussing?
Sir, I went back to our policy council. I went back to our program officer at the regional service, the person who negotiated the contract with us, and talked to her about what her suggestions were. And her thing was, what you submitted, you can submit again. We did that. I did that with the policy council. We had a meeting. We had a discussion. They agreed with the recommendation to continue the way we had submitted in the past. And at this particular point, that's what you're getting.
Raul,
what the policy council submitted. What they approved.
Okay, and let me ask this question. And I see.
Let me just ask to see if Raul has had an opportunity to look at this.
We have looked at what she is recommending. We have looked at the basis. We haven't had a chance to really determine if it's a valid basis or whether it's applicable. But I would like that opportunity. One, number two, I know she has a deadline. There's July 31, and I know the court is interested in maybe rather than having 98% of the employees get 2% and 2% of the employees get a lot more. Maybe one option would be to consider what is the percentage that we can pay if we use these funds across the board, and maybe 2.5%. That could be an option where everybody gets the same percentage across the board, or we do a percentage and maybe a what we consider a valid differential, if we want to call it that. But the parity.
What do we just? I don't know if they have an agreement, but those 5 employees that are getting increases, why can't they get half of that? Will it be okay, and then give the rest to the employees?
I had prepared some numbers, and I was willing to recommend. I'm not sure about the issue of parity and equity means that you have to compare. For example, we had this issue with the public defender's office. You had attorneys ones in the public defender's office that were making a certain amount of money, and attorney ones in the DA's office that were making more money. So that was an issue, the same job, the same title, where there was a change in salary, the parity was not there. The public defender's office was losing attorneys to the DA's office left and right because of the different salary for same work. So parity here is we need to come up with a comparison of where people are doing the same exact thing or getting different pay. I'm not sure that's the case here, but we certainly could recommend something, Commissioner, where we could look at that and see if that might be an opportunity to adjust that in a different way.
Well, in the, go ahead, Judge.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the trouble that I'm seeing is because it's the last item, if the court is wanting to use that money to spread to the rest of the employees, what order do we take them in, or how do we do this? If that's the court's wish to...
If the court's wish is that, the court's wish will be expressed to the policy council.
And the policy council will not meet if they don't. They can come to a meeting if they really want to. I mean, they're going to lose millions of dollars. I mean, whatever it is.
And Commissioner, last time there was this deadline that we had to meet, and actually there was a month and a half after the decision was made in May. We had plenty of time. I think we had 3 additional meetings after that. Now you're bringing it to us almost at the last minute, so it's kind of hard to try to get this process done.
I want to hand out a letter that announces the COLA. I had to get verbal approval to even do what I'm doing now, because the Office of Head Start did not issue the notice of this COLA until yesterday. But I was allowed to proceed because we have such a short time frame, and we have 2 boards to have this item on, to be able to get it processed. The issue of time has been outside of my hands in terms of the Office of Head Start. And so I have complained incessantly about it. It still doesn't make a difference. I was told if you don't submit it by the 31st, your program will not get the COLA money, period. We're talking about $267,000. That's you divide that by the employees, and that's the percentage.
Another thing we could do is approve 1, 2, and 2A. 1 and 2A. Make sure that gets done, and then come back on B, so that at least we'll approve, some of it. Or
what about the suggestion that was made by Commissioner Flores? I mean, that those 5 individuals cut whatever amount they're getting in half and then distribute the balance amongst everybody else. I mean, look, we're the oversight body. It appears to be that the consensus is that the method used in arriving at this figures was not necessarily fair to everybody within the agency, and we're trying to arrive at a consensus, trying to meet your deadlines. Do you feel that you could live with? And I'm assuming, I'm not sure that the majority of the body is in favor.
Go to the policy council with what you're recommending. If you want to approve the other 2, that's fine. But we're part of the program, and so that COLA applies to us too, whether it's a differential or not. And so to leave us out completely would become an issue.
No,
we're not suggesting that.
Y'all are going to get the COLA plus your increase. I mean, like everybody else, right, Martha?
Yeah, the COLA would apply.
I think Commissioner Cantu, I don't think we could approve the 2% until we redo the calculations, because that 2% may become 2.2. So we would have to redo the calculations, adjust the differential, and then use the balance.
One quick question: does the policy board have to approve this before us?
Yes, sir. That's by the bylaws.
Okay,
that's the protocol.
And let me ask you on the bylaws, talking about your advisory council. They're an advisory board. They're not a...
No, sir. They're approve and disapprove. I just gave you a handout.
Okay. So I just want to clarify that. Okay, so basically you can call a meeting, 72-hour notice, right?
Yes.
You can address some of the recommendations that the court's coming up with for dealing with this issue.
Obviously, there's concern.
It's beyond,
So what we can do is state for the record of what our recommendation is for the advisory, your policy board.
Yes.
And then have an item on the agenda for the next week. We should hit the 31st deadline, and we should be okay.
Okay. That is fine. We'll see how we can do the scheduling and so forth. But even though the Office of Head Start had the Head Start Act of 2007, we have not completely... This is in operation right now. And I want to call your attention to the standard that talks about approval and disapproval. And the Policy Council has approval and disapproval on all the areas. This is one of them, and so does the Commissioner's Court. It says the group that must be involved in the decision-making process prior to the point of seeking approval. That's the approve and disapprove.
No, it's only the recommendation we're giving you.
Right.
We're not approving anything.
Right, but what I'm just saying is that on the approval part, because you'll be part of the approval part, it does say that if it does not approve, A proposal cannot be adopted or the proposed action taken until agreement is matched between the disagreeing groups. So both
Have
the
to
Commissioners Court
Have to agree.
and the Policy Council have to agree.
Okay.
And so coming back to going to them, your message is clear as to what I need to talk to them about, and then come back with what needs to be done.
And maybe some options so that we can be able to say this one or this one.
I think
Because
what's
we're
fair-
not going to have time to go back to the policy board again.
What's fair? I mean, get everybody, until the directors or whatever got to agree that the cost of living was half of the raise. I mean, that's what's fair, I feel, because everybody's been calling me too.
Okay. I welcome the opportunity for the oversight. Each one of you receives an agenda from the Policy Council each time I have a Policy Council agenda. I invite you to please pick up the phone and call me if you have any issues related to those agendas. That has been our procedure and our protocol forever. So in your offices, you get a copy of the agenda when the Policy Council gets the agenda. That's before it ever comes to Commissioners Court, giving you that shared responsibility for shared governance, because this program is about the shared governance process. And we have to describe in our application, including the new one, how it is that this shared governance is going to occur and how it is that conflicts and resolutions are going to happen. So, as I said, I welcome the opportunity for the oversight and do welcome that you pick up the phone and call when there's issues. I am going to tell you this, we're coming to the point of dealing with bringing everybody up to 20,000. You are going to get complaints for those who are not going to get that part. It's the same story every time anybody in our organization gets a little more than anybody else, it becomes a big issue. And we're a big organization, so it's a bigger issue.
I believe everybody's going to be close to 20,000, ain't it?
Well, they are, but you still talk about 400 employees, so it'll take $500,000 to do that. Okay?
I guess, Judge, can we clarify what the recommendation is for?
I was going to ask Judge, Commissioners, if I understood the court, they wanted to look at the differential that Mrs. Flores recommended and use do half of that, and then the difference would go to the 2% or,
Across the board.
across the board.
So whatever it is, 1.9.
Right, whatever happens to be.
Judge, you had a participation from, I believe, from one of the owls. They're trying to get notice from the court right now for comment on this.
Well,
I signed up, and a commissioner said, my question is, you're talking about, on your agenda, and by the way, they're handing out, which I think she just handed you just a second ago, the 2% for the 766 employees. These are the teachers. These are the ones that are in the trenches doing the work. Why in the world we don't drop the what they're wanting? Give them the 2%, the 5 that are on this right here. Because like I say, I think you've got the amounts. We're talking from right now, the executive director is getting $96,844.80, and if they get what they wanted, that differential and the 2%, we're talking $112,985.60. When these people, she was just talking with all this presentation, how hard and how much they work and how the students are. Those are the people, and some of those people have worked for over 20 years. And they're making $18,000 to $20,000. She's been here 13 years, and we're talking about over $112,000, almost $113,000. Not just give her get all 5 of those, and I would like to know if each one of these persons that's on this list has a degree. I've been told that the department director does not. We were talking about the teachers having degrees and all the other people having degrees. How can someone, if they don't have a degree, going to be making $63,000? So my question and what you need to do, it looks like to us, give them the 2% and take what they're showing in this budget and give it to the ones that are making $20,000 that have been in the county. I've also like to ask if y'all have done a 5-year history of the salaries. I've been told if you look at that, you'll see where the salaries, the big bucks have been going over the last 5 years. And it's still not to the ones that are in the trenches. And then she mentioned that she looked at the superintendent wages of the county. Our entire school districts down here, Edinburgh, Farr, McAllen, pay way too much for the superintendents. But why in the world would she decide that her salary should be up there equal with them? I have a problem with that. So I just wished and hoped that, like I say, give them, these 5 that are on this list, give them the 2%. Take that extra. And also, as she mentioned, I have another thing. She mentioned that some of the kids and things go to PSJ and different school districts. Our question is, they are the ADA children. And is it true that the kids are counted by the school districts and used as their count? So does the Head Start pay money for these children in these school districts? And if not, where is that money going? Maybe that could be used for some of the 20,000 that are getting very little for all the work they do.
Commissioner Flores, just make a point. I'm going to work the numbers based on what I understand your recommendation, but
also give us the option at 2% across the board.
Yes, I would like you to give me the opportunity or the option to come up with a different, because the fact that the differential raises, half of that has already been paid. There were lump sum payments made going back to January in May, so that half of the differential has already been paid. So I have to take that into account. Okay.
That's what he said.
Okay.
Okay, so will you be joining Ms. Flores at the policy
We certainly,
council?
well, even before that, because we got to set up the agenda items.
Okay.
I don't go
No,
with.
and all
yeah.
I'm saying, just so that they do,
Yes.
similar to all
Yes.
the respective departments, they're involved in the process,
Yes.
and when it comes back
Yes.
to court, we clear everything.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Can I just clarify one item of the school districts? Yes, indeed, the school districts do have ADA, and no, we don't get any money from them. We only get the personnel. We don't get any supplies and materials. We provide the classrooms, the supplies, the materials, the curriculum, the instruction. All I'm interested in is that person coming in to help and reduce the ratios in terms of the individualized instruction that we provide and the readiness aspect of our program. Okay? So no, we don't keep any money. We don't get any money from the districts.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
So we don't need action on any of the items, right?
No,
No action.
not until they come back.
Okay, Judge Commissioners, with that being said, then we will be having, Ms. Teresa, you'll be having your meeting either Friday or Saturday, 72 hours, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, so you need 72 hours. But that then will dictate that we are also going to have a Commissioners Court next week, Tuesday.
Right.
So we'll
I
set
do
that.
want to tell you, I set the meetings. I have to find out if I can get a quorum for those meetings, just like everything
Right,
else,
right,
okay?
right.
So we'll do it in that respect. The sooner, the better. And certainly, your office and Mr. Salguero will be part of the process of planning that agenda.
You know, usually the Commissioners Court, when there's a meeting like that, we usually have a quorum, 99.999%.
Yes. Well, I have, what happens to us at the end of the year is that we have 6 parents, and some of those parents, their children are not coming back in September. So they serve in the policy council at will. And so if their kids are not coming back, they may not have an interest in coming to the meeting anymore.
Well,
So I have to work with them.
You need to contact them.
Yes, yes, sir. But it has to always be more parents than community members, okay?
Thank you,
There's
Ms.
11.
Flores.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Guerra.
Those were the two, they've already taken action, Judge, or there was no action on that. We'll come back
All right,
next week for
so
that action.
We proceed to item number 12, our Health Department.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
On behalf of Mr. Eddie Olivares, who's out on leave, we're presenting item A. We're requesting approval of the interlocal cooperation agreement between the County of Hidalgo and the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and the purpose of the agreement is public health preparedness and response.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B1 requires no action, and C1 requires no action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ma'am. Item 13, Emergency Management.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I've come before you to discuss an approval of interlocal agreement between the Lower Grande Valley Council and Hidalgo County for the FYI 2015 Hidalgo County Municipal Law Enforcement Interoperability Communication Expansion Project. This is an interlocal between the county and the Valley Council. They took care of a grant for us to distribute some 800 meg radios for the law enforcement community on the east side. So that's the interlocal for that.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The second one is for the discussion and approval of an interlocal agreement between Hidalgo County and the City of Elsa for FY 2015 Hidalgo County Municipal Law Enforcement and Operability Communication Expansion Project. Basically, what this is between the City of Elsa and Hidalgo County for us to issue those mobiles and portable radios to the Elsa Police Department for them to put them in operations and become part of the regional communication system.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Commissioner Palacios, can I visit?
Oh, yes, sir.
Item 14, our IT.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Presenting a couple items this morning. Item 14A is discussion, consideration, and action of management control agreement regarding the Texas DPS and FBI criminal justice information systems between the Hidalgo County Constable Precinct 1, 2, 3, and the IT Department. We are presenting the item for the constables, a management agreement that needs to be in place for the constables to use a law enforcement specific software called CopSync. They'll be able to run warrants and returns and stuff like that. IT has no access to the system. We're just facilitating the installation, the training, and the management of the system, and I am presenting the item for the constable. So I am requesting approval on 14A.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
14B, Executive Office, authorization and approval of the wireless device services as listed on the grid below, and I believe these are for the GPS, the countywide GPS program. Requesting
Zero
approval.
cost for everything, right?
Motion
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
14C for facilities management, environmental compliance, authorization and approval for new wireless device services through the county's membership with Verizon as listed below, 12 data cards for facilities and 6 for environmental compliance.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
14D, Commissioner Precinct 2, authorization and approval to purchase new wireless device service through the county's membership contract with Verizon as listed on the grid below.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Have a great morning.
Thank you, sir. Item 15, Urban County. Ms. Serna.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Our first item on the agenda is 15A, subject to compliance with House Bill 1295, when and if applicable, the Urban County Program on behalf of the City of Alton is requesting consideration and action to award and enter into construction contract with 2GS LLC, doing business as Earthworks Enterprise in the amount of $260,255.65 for a street improvement project using funding from 2012, 2013, and 2014.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B is our office requesting the approval of the subrecipient agreements with the following nonprofit agencies for year 26, which is our 2016, effective July 1st through the 31st. The organizations would be Women Together Foundation, Open Hands Charitable Services, Senior Community Outreach Services, the Lower Rio Grande Development Council Valley Metro Transportation, and A Vision for You Help Center.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is also a request from my office requesting the approval of subrecipient agreements with the following nonprofit agencies utilizing the 2016 funding, also effective July 1st through the 31st. July 1st, 2016 through May 31st, 2017, Boys and Girls Club of Edinburgh, Boys and Girls Club of Mission, Foster Grant Parent Program, Hope Family Health Center, and Camp University, as well as Nuestra Clínica del Valle.
I've got a question on Mission Boys Club. That's on the rural area, right?
That normally is our Jensen unit, and as long as the Jensen unit continues to operate and provide services to the ETJ area outside of Mission,
But not within the.
not within the city.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And it's not within the city only because the city of Mission already received their own entitlement funding.
Yes, that's what I was asking.
Okay. Item D is on behalf of the city of Sullivan City, the Urban County Program is requesting authority to rescind action taken on June 20th, 2016 for the approval of a professional engineering contract with S&B Infrastructure LTD in the amount of $53,568.70 for their Sullivan City Parks and Recreational Facility line item.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D2 is subject to compliance with House Bill 1295 when and if applicable. The Urban County Program, on behalf of the City of Sullivan City, is requesting approval of a best and final negotiated contract for professional engineering service with SNB Ltd. in the same amount of $53,568.70, utilizing the funds from 2013. This is necessary in order to address some of the concerns that were raised in the contract by our legal counsel, Mr. Steve Crane. So we think that this was the best way the cleanest way to take care of this.
Actually, it's the same thing, it's just worded differently.
Yes, worded differently. We normally don't give work authorizations. Mr. Steve Crane has requested that from now on we do issue work authorizations, so this is what we had to change it.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, item D3 is requesting approval of work authorization number 1 for the Sullivan City Park in the amount of $53,568.70.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E is requesting approval of the subrecipient agreements with the following nonprofit agencies, utilizing the funds from year 2016 for July 1st, 2016 through May 31st, 2017. These agreements would be with Amigos del Valle, the Boys and Girls Club of Alamo, Casa of Hidalgo County, Children's Advocacy Center, Easter Seals of the Rio Grande Valley, and the Food Bank of the Rio Grande Valley.
Mission, the Alamo Boys and Club don't have the same problem Mission does, right?
No, Alamo is one of the cities within the Urban County program.
Okay, move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item F is requesting approval of a program amendment for the City of Ed Couch's fiscal year 26-27, which is 2013-2014 work plans. The amendment will add new streets and the following scope of work to the existing work plan, which calls for the overlay of reconstruction of streets, including but not limited to adjacent abutting streets within the same general vicinity.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item G is consideration and approval of a construction contract change order for the General Land Office. Contract number 12-406-000-6453 for the Delta Area Connector East Lateral Project. The change order will increase the current construction contract with Science Brothers Construction LLC in the amount of $115,499.40.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
For the public's information, the reason this change order was necessary was due to the 36-inch irrigation line that was not identified in the plans. So now the contractor has to work around it, and they need to reroute the line. Item 2 is consideration and approval to authorize the county judge to sign any and all documents associated with the change orders and amendments pertaining to the General Land Office contract 12-406-000-6453.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
H is on behalf of the City of Penitas, requesting approval of amendment number 1 to the professional engineering services contract with South Texas Infrastructure Group, LLC, Mission, Texas, for the 2014 Penitas Street Improvement Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I is subject to compliance with House Bill 1295 when and if applicable. The Urban County Program is requesting the award of bids and approval of contracts with RG Enterprises, LLC, doing business as G&G Contractors and Quality Investment for the demolition and reconstruction of the following. I-1 is 1 unit in the City of Donna, 2 units in this county-wide area, 1 unit in the City of Weslaco, and 3 units in the City of San Juan, in the total amount of the contract of $419,800 to RG Enterprises, LLC, DBA G&G Contractors.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I-2 is the award of one contract of 1 unit in the county-wide area and 2 units in the City of Edcouch, and the total amount of the contract of $176,331 to Quality Investments.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you so much. That was the last of it.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 16, our Planning Department.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. TJ Adeloma for the record. Item 1A, reimbursement of financial guarantee in the amount of $24,000 for Annalise subdivision. This is for the construction of shared driveways. We're recommending approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 17, Precinct 2.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners.
Morning.
This time, we're bringing item 17A, requesting approval of amendment number 1 to the interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of McAllen, approved by Commissioners Court on December 15, 2015. The amendment will increase the estimated cost and increase the city's contribution.
Motion approved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
For Precinct 3, excuse me, this is acceptance and of the listed and detailed invoices as claims from Ergon Asphalt and Emulsions with approval for the county treasurer to issue payment after review and processing procedures are completed by the county auditor as listed on the agenda. Acceptance and approval also of the credit. Since the purchases are due to an error in selecting the correct vendor and as explained in detail to legal counsel, which was the Assistant District Attorney, Civil Section, with concurrence by the auditor.
Is that your recommendation, Marty?
Yes, sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Judge, 19A is Precinct 4. Item 19A1 is discussion, consideration, and action on interlocal cooperative agreement between County of Hidalgo and the City of Edinburgh, Texas concerning certain improvements to SH 107 and Business 281 intersection improvements. Judge, as you know, and I reported to the board, we just had the allocation of Prop 7 funding through MPO, of which more than $400 million was distributed throughout the entire county. We were very fortunate to secure $20 million for the downtown Edinburgh area, which is a square. This project's going to focus on road and drainage improvements right at the square, westbound all the way up to the main outfall there off of Jackson and 107. Beneficiaries are obviously all the commercial, the university, the city, the downtown square. It was a major vehicle for us to be able to take advantage of Prop 7 funding that came from the state. Again, this agreement specifically is where the county will be the lead agency, the fiduciary to be able to advance this project. It is, at the end of the day, will be let by TxDOT. They'll let the project out. All cost overruns are on the state. We're merely clearing the environmental process, updating the road study, as well as any acquisition services. The way we decided to run the agreement is first the interlocal agreement is just to allow the county to work within the city limits of Edinburgh. That's the agreement that's before us.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item number 2, in accordance with
Before we move on, I just wanted to thank you and congratulate you for being able to get this accomplished. This will go a long way towards constructing that courthouse project.
Thank you, Judge. We were able to work with your staff as well as the other commissioners to advocate with all members of the NPO. It was one of many significant projects throughout the district, and I want to congratulate the Oak Court because there's projects throughout the district. As Andrew had once said, it's the most fairly distributed allocation of prop funding that he's seen to date. So it was a major accomplishment throughout the Hidalgo County. That's just one of many good projects.
I've also been requested to recess our meeting at this time and proceed to executive session, that some of the individuals that are going to be making a presentation have to leave. So if that's okay with you, gentlemen, at this time I would declare a recess of our regular meeting and proceed pursuant to, let's see. Pursuant to 551-071-087-072, need a motion to proceed to executive session.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Sir, we're now back in open session.
Judge, thank you. Judge, Commissioner, thank you. Open session 25A, real estate acquisition appropriation for saying there's no action to be taken. 25B, pending and or potential litigation, there's no action to be taken. 25C, pending and or potential litigation, Edinburgh Municipal Airport and City of Edinburgh property. Just proceed as directed. 25D, Judge, Commissioners, for the record, I'd like to inform and take a formal action to the effect that civil number 15 CV 435 Gregorio Trevino Jr. versus Hidalgo County et al. And civil number 715 CV 477 Pedro Garcia Jr. Hidalgo County et al. Have been by court order combined. And so both of these are being facilitated by Atlas Holland Rodriguez. And so I'd like to take action for out of an abundance of caution, for a new letter of engagement for them, for Atlas and Hall to continue representation, but under case number 15 CV 435, Gregorio Trevino Jr. versus Hidalgo County et al. With that being said, Judge Commissioners, I'm going to refer back to item 24A, exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 2620244, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. I can have a motion to that effect.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
24B, requesting engagement with the firm of Atlas Holland Rodriguez for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit letter of engagement subject to compliance with House Bill 1295. Again, the consolidation of Gregorio Trevino Jr. versus Hidalgo County et al. And Pedro Garcia Jr. versus Hidalgo County et al. For the new case number 15 CV 435 Gregorio Trevino Jr. versus Hidalgo County et al.
Move for approval.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
25E, proceed as directed. 25F, proceed as directed. Again, both of those were under economic development. And Judge Commissioners, then we would go back to our where we left off on the agenda.
Which was 19A2 under Precinct 4. Item 19A2 is in accordance with Texas Government Code, Section 791.014, approval of proposed project regarding certain road and drainage improvements to South SH 107 and Business 281.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 20, our Budget Office.
Afternoon, Judge, Commissioner, Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 20A is consideration and approval of imposition of optional fees for calendar year 2017 in accordance with Texas Transportation Code. We're requesting to approve no changes, to keep the same charges that were in effect right now, which is a $10 road and bridge fee and a $10 transportation project fee.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 20B, discussion, consideration, acceptance of the project worksheets and the Texas Division of Emergency Management Public Assistance Sub-Grant Award, including all terms and conditions, with authority for the county judge to sign all required documents. For the FEMA Public Assistance Grant 4245 Severe Storms, October 2015 flooding event. For the FEMA project numbers is listed on the agenda. The total amount of the total sub-grant award is $4,035,050.12.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2 is approval of certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor in the amount of $2,959,981.91.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 3 is approval of appropriation of those funds in the same amount.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 4 is discussion, consideration, and approval of order authorizing an emergency appropriation to the Hidalgo County fiscal year 2016 budget for payment for emergency expenditures as per Texas Local Government Code 111.070.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 5 is approval of appropriation of funds from general fund unassigned fund balance and an interfund transfer to designated purpose fund 1280 for category C road repairs in the amount of $986,660.63 as per Texas Local Government Code 111.070 to address emergency expenditures related to the October 2015 flooding event, DR 4245.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 20C, 1 is discussion, consideration, and approval to adopt the Hidalgo County Title VI Non-Discrimination Policy Statement. This is to get in accordance with TxDOT Title VI program, basically just non-discrimination. We already follow that, but this is just to make it formal and just going through their guidance.
Motion approved.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C2 is discussion, consideration, and approval to adopt the U.S. Department of Transportation Standard Title VI assurances to establish full and affirmative compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and other non-discrimination authorities. Basically, what this will do, it'll some assurances to TxDOT that we are following non-discrimination policies, and we'll also add some new documents to our contracts.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 20D1 is approval of 2016 appropriation of funds from Road and Bridge unreserved fund balance for the Precinct 4 Alberta Drain Project in the amount of $57,152. And this is for material testing, GIO Technical Services.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And finally, item 20D2 is approval of 2016 appropriation of funds in the amount of $39,959,000. These are from proceeds from the Certificates of Obligation Series 2016.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Martha Salazar for Purchasing Department. 21A1, acceptance and approval to execute the final form of professional engineering services agreement with LNG Consulting Engineers for roadway and drainage improvements associated with Business 281 State Highway 107 intersection, as approved for negotiations back on April the 19th, 2016, and subject to compliance with HB 23 or 1295. There was a concern on the insurances, but as of this morning, they have been received and forwarded and routed to the auditor's office, as well as Ms. Monica and the court reporter.
What are the amounts
Of what?
of the insurances?
The requirements.
I don't have those with me, Judge.
But Marty, the big question that I have is, don't we need for the city of Edinburgh to accept this? We're about to get involved in a contract that extends beyond our property, you know.
Yeah, they're both going to have to approve it, but we have to approve it
first
ourselves,
to present to them.
Okay, should we put in there then subject to Edinburgh?
Subject to acceptance and approval by the city of Edinburgh.
Of the interlocal agreement.
Of the interlocal.
That's my
Motion to approve. Okay, second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item B is acceptance and approval of work authorization 1 with an estimated cost of $1,683,412 as submitted by the project engineer LNG Consulting to provide engineering services for the traffic impact analysis, environmental assessment, public involvement, schematic design, hydrologic map, and disposition of Business 281 ROW at Courthouse Square for the roadway and drainage improvements associated with Business 281 State Highway 107 intersection project.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. This one has the same caveat?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Item 2 is recommending a bid award and approval of contract to Frontera Materials for the bidder submitting the lowest and best bid and meeting all specifications and requirements for hot mix co-laid road material under the request for bids number 078, subject to compliance with either HB 23 or 1295, and that is with Frontera.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 3 is acceptance and approval amendment 2 for contract number 054 with prepaid legal services DBA Legal Shield to allow the service enrollment twice a year as follows: month of June for July deductions and month of December for January deductions.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item B1, Precinct 1, this is acceptance and approval of the following work authorizations as submitted by Millennium Engineers Group Incorporated, contract number 319, for the provision of construction materials engineering testing services for work authorizations 10, 11, and 12. That would be Colonia del Noreste, $36,426.25. Nittler Road, FM 493, FM 88, $44,742.50, and work authorization 12, Mile 9 Road, Mile 1 East to Mile 3 East project, $35,295.50.
Move for approval on B1, A, B, and C.
Second. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
2, recommendation by project engineer Tedzi Infrastructure Group to award the base bid to the responsible vendor submitting the lowest and best bid, meeting all specifications, which is 2GS Earthworks and Enterprises of Benitas, Texas. The base bid in the amount of $544,727.65 for Hidalgo County Precinct 1's paving and drainage improvements of Colonia Noreste. Bid number 260, subject to compliance, if and when applicable.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B will not, there's no action, that will not be taken up until the actual contract is brought back to court for approval. Item 3, authority to advertise an approval of the plans and specs for the RFP front-end documents developed and drafted by project engineer Aranda and Associates for Hidalgo County Precinct 1 for the following paving and drainage improvement projects. A, mile 11 north, FM 1015 to mile 1 west. B, mile 14 and a half from mile 4 to mile 6. Those are respectively projects 279 and 280.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C for Precinct 2, 1, acceptance and approval to execute the final form of professional engineering services with Terracon Consultants for on-call geotechnical construction materials testing and inspection services for road and bridge, CIP, and other projects in general, and is approved for negotiation back on April 19th and subject to compliance if and when applicable to HB 23 and or 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Acceptance and approval for item 2 of work authorization 2 with an estimated cost of $45,575.72 as submitted by LNG Consulting Engineers to provide schematic and PS&E development, ROW mapping, and subsurface utility services for the Yuma Avenue Extension Project through contract number 258.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, pursuant to current contract with LNG, Article 14, a request for approval by engineer to permit the subcontracting of ROW surveying services in connection with the Yuma Avenue Extension Project.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
D1, approval for Precinct 3 of change order 2 in connection with Precinct 3's Mile 2 North roadway project, reflecting an increase in the amount of $27,109.43 for the new contract amount being now $1,568,714.01 from contract vendor IOC Company as recommended by project engineer LNG, subject to compliance if and when applicable.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
D2, Precinct 3, acceptance and approval to execute the final form of professional surveying agreement with ROW Surveying Services for road and bridge, CIP, and other projects in general on an as-needed basis for Precinct 3.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Precinct 4, E1, ratification of fully executed change order 1 reflecting an additional 39 calendar days due to rain days and time involved to receive electrical materials specified by the engineer with contracts Gomez Paving LLC for construction of parking lot at San Carlos CRC and Sunflower Park as submitted through project engineer Lefevre Engineering and Management Consulting.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
2A, pursuant to legal notice number 2, recommending waiver of formality and technicality of Exhibit A bid form, pages 1 and 2, Section 00300 response in connection with AIA form of agreement with RG Enterprises, DBAG, and G contractors, as it is in the best interest of Hidalgo County to do so with review option by legal counsel, Mr. Crane.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B is acceptance and approval of the AIA document 101 form of agreement between Hidalgo County owner and RG Enterprises, LLC, DBAG, and G contractors in the amount of $228,747.39 for landscape, structural, and irrigation construction for San Carlos Community Resource Center located on the corner of State Highway 107 and Sunflower Road, Denver, Texas.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C is acceptance and approval of change order 9 for the deletion of exterior signage and installation with credit to contract in the amount of $2,106 in connection with agreement number 067 with JCON Construction LLC as reviewed, approved by project architect Mata Garcia. And this is construction of the Lynn San Manuel Emergency Services facilities with authority for the county judge or court member to execute the document.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
For budget and management, recommending bid award and approval. It's only the bid award. There's no approval of contract yet. For Asset Works LLC, the bidder submitting the lowest and best bid, meeting specifications and requirements for Hidalgo County structure valuation and insurance appraisal for Hidalgo County real estate properties and buildings, and with replacement costs under the request for bid number 047, subject to compliance if and when applicable. The contract will be brought to you next week.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item G, Colonia Access Program Precinct 1, requesting approval of Supplemental Agreement 1 with an estimated cost of $7,457, which results in an increase to Work Authorization 1 for contract number 397 between Hidalgo County and Millennium Engineers Group.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B1 for Sheriff's Department, acceptance and approval of the Texas Association of Realtors Residential Real Estate Listing Agreement, exclusive right to sell, as reviewed and approved by the Hidalgo County Assistant DA's Office, Honorable Victor Garza, for Code of Criminal Procedure Article 59, properties forfeited to Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office through judicial process, including authority for the Honorable J.E. Eddie Guerra, Hidalgo County Sheriff, to execute when necessary, and such properties require disposition through sale, with term of said agreement for an additional 1 year and 2 additional 1-year terms at the option of the county. This is in no event to exceed the statutory procurement limit of $50,000 per year.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
And for the DA, item I1, recommendation by project engineer Half and Associates to award the bid for the sole responsible vendor submitting the lowest and best bid while meeting all specifications. That's Hercon LLC in the amount of $82,500 for the construction of space pressure control at autopsy facility.
Move for approval. Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Under open forum, anybody sign up?
Yes, Judge, Commissioners. Our first, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 individuals.
All right.
First speaker is Fern McClarty.
She's not present.
Okay, present.
Go ahead, Mother.
Our next presenter is Ms. Opal Billman. Again, I'll remind the audience to please respect the speaker's time of voting, and I will indicate to the speaker when there's 1 minute left of the 3 minutes.
I was sued for divorce in Hidalgo County, the outcome of which has been 20 years of police-enforced false imprisonment. I have made document complaints and public vocal complaints. I have petitioned the court to examine the case and explain what was done. All of my complaints have been ignored. The First Amendment to the Constitution gives me the right to address my government to correct this imitation of justice. I am here because the First Amendment of the Constitution allows me to be. It is a violation of my civil rights to have been confined off property that I own for 20 years, and I want my freedom. The only agenda of the court has been to form corporations and use them to sell our community property to shareholders. The property is owned by the estate of Joe Billman and me and is not for sale. No one can sell what they don't own. anyone who thinks they bought into and considers themselves to own shares in the community property of Joe and me just got Bernie Madoff fleeced. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Mr. Joe Rodriguez. Not present. And our last presenter is Eduardo Estrada.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
In the last 19 months, county residents have been charged either a $25 user fee for a 3-month or $100 for a 12-month permit to use the trash collection sites. The county budget director estimated that $2 to $2.5 million would be generated annually. Some of us pay with coins, but we pay. I suggest to you the county is not collecting the estimated amount because some people take advantage of flaws in the system and don't pay. This is due to incompetence and or barcode scanner malfunction and or understaffing at the collection site entrances. It isn't fair to those of us who do pay, and it's just wrong for anybody in a pickup or that's pulling a trailer to enter the collection site unchecked and unverified. It stands to reason that if lack of oversight is occurring at the Precinct 4 Doolittle collection site, it is also happening at the other sites. It is incumbent upon this elected body to rectify or to remedy the situation. I came here today because garbage fees matter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Judge, Commissioners, we don't have any of the speakers.
Need a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir, but again, before we adjourn, just for the record, as we indicated earlier with some prior court action, we will be having Commissioners Court next week, Tuesday, July 26th. Regular time, 9 a.m. for Drainage District and 9:30 for Commissioners Court. And so then, with that being said, our next cycle, we would not have court the following week and then back to our regular schedule on and off. Okay, so.
Move to adjourn. It'll be 2 weeks after the 25th.
After the 26th, it'll be 2 weeks, which we mean August 9th.
All right, need a second? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
We're supposed to meet next Tuesday, Valde.
Yes, sir, next Tuesday.